Hello, good evening, everyone. Mazen and Siksha, how are you?
Fine, sir. How are you?
Fine, sir.
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so in the previous session in economics, we were discussing the consumer's equilibrium utility approach. In fact, we have completed our utility approach of consumer's equilibrium. Uh, Now in this class, we will discuss about consumer's equilibrium indifference curve approach. See, as I have already told you that there are basically two approaches of consumer's equilibrium. One is utility approach and the other one is basically indifference curve approach. All right, and both these approaches, both these theories of consumers equilibrium has been given by two different economists. One is Alfred Marshall and the other one is J.R. Hicks and Allen. So utility approach was actually given by Alfred Marshall and indifference curve approach was given by J.R. Hicks and Allen. So in this case we will be discussing about consumers equilibrium through J.R. Hicks and Allen approach, which is called indifference curve approach. So let's start. First of all, see, in order to understand the concept of consumer equilibrium through indifference curve approach as well, we have to understand few concepts. Uh, Only after understanding those concepts and those elements, we will be able to understand the concept of consumer's equilibrium through indifference curve approach. So there are certain points which needed to be covered, like in case of utility approach also. I have told you that I think I have told you that there were five things that we are required to understand in order to understand the concept of consumer equilibrium, right? First of all, we have covered the concept of utility, then total utility, marginal utility, law of diminishing marginal utility, then utility of money, all of these things. After that, we have started our consumers equilibrium in single commodity case and double commodity case. All right. Similarly, in order to understand the concept of equilibrium through this approach also, we need to understand at least five things. And those are, what are those? See, first of all, in order to understand the concept of equilibrium through indifference curve approach, first of all, we need to understand what is the meaning of indifference curve. What is indifference curve? After this, we will learn about indifference map. Then we must understand what is budget line. What is a budget line? All right. And after this, we'll have to cover marginal rate of substitution, which is called MRS. And after this, there is a concept known as MRE, marginal rate of exchange. So in order to understand the concept of equilibrium through indifference curve approach, we need to first understand these concepts. All right, just a minute. Okay, so let's start. First of all, we will try to understand what is consumers first we will try to understand what is the meaning of indifference curve. What is an indifference curve? All right, indifference curve. So see, indifference curve is basically similar to production possibility curve. There is a of similarity between production possibility curve and indifference curve to a great extent. See, in order to understand the concept of consumer indifference curve, let's first of all, you will have to write the definition of indifference curve. So start writing the definition of indifference curve. Let me show you. Just note it down and let me know when you are done. Indifference curve is a graphical representation of various combination of two goods which provides the consumer with the same amount, with the same level of satisfaction. So just note it down. I will explain this definition through a small example. Then we will get back to this definition and we'll cover the other points. Just note it down.
Yes, sir.
Are you done? Samiksha, Mazen, Peer?
No, sir, 1 minute.
Okay,
Yes, sir, done, sir.
all right. See, let's assume there is a customer, and as usual, this is Mr. X, and Mr. X is basically consuming two goods. Let's suppose he's consuming burger and pizza. All right. So Mr. X is a consumer who is consuming two goods, burger and pizza. And currently, let's say he is consuming burger and pizza in the following combination. Suppose he is having 1 unit of burger and 15 slices of pizza, for example. All right. So 15 slices of pizza and 1 unit of burger. This is the combination in which he is consuming burger and pizza right now. All right. And suppose in this combination, let's name this combination combination A. Let me write it here, 15 and 1. Let's call this combination combination A. So currently Mr. X is consuming burger and pizza in the combination of 1 and 15. All right. And this combination is called combination A. Okay. Now let's assume that he is receiving certain amount of satisfaction in this combination. Let's say he's having this much of satisfaction in this combination. Let's give this much of satisfaction a number. Let's say he's getting satisfaction of amount basically 100 utils, satisfaction equal to 100. Just a minute, guys, can you give me a minute? I'll be back in a minute. Just give me a second. All right. So let's assume Mr. X is consuming burger and pizza and he is receiving 100 utils of satisfaction. All right. Now, what we are saying to Mr. X that Mr. X, please reduce some quantity of pizza. All right. I'm asking Mr. X to reduce few slices of pizza. But what Mr. X is saying, Mr. X is saying that he cannot compromise the level of satisfaction he is getting in this combination. All right. So what he is doing basically, when I ask him to reduce certain slices of pizza, what he's basically doing, he increases the quantity of burger and sacrifice certain number of certain slices of pizza. So he made the other combination wherein he is consuming 2 units of burger and 10 units of pizza. Can you tell me in combination A how much satisfaction he was getting? He was getting 100 units of satisfaction. And in case of combination B, what is the amount of satisfaction he will be getting? He will be getting same utils of satisfaction. Why? Because he increases 1 unit of burger and he sacrifices few slices of pizza in a manner that he gets equal amount of satisfaction as he was getting in the combination A. Correct? So both the combinations are giving him equal amount of satisfaction. Now what happens? Suppose he wants to increase the quantity of burger by one more units, but he wants to maintain the equal amount of satisfaction. He wants to maintain his satisfaction at 100 utils only. So when he increases the quantity of burger by one more unit, and when he is willing to maintain the same amount of satisfaction, what he will have to do, he will have to sacrifice few more slices of pizza. So he sacrificed more unit of pizza and in order to gain 1 unit of burger. Similarly, he again wants to increase the quantity of burger by one more unit. Every time when he will increase the quantity of burger by 1 unit, he will have to sacrifice certain number of certain slices of pizza so as to maintain same level of satisfaction. Correct? Let's assume that he is increasing the burger by 1 more unit. Then what he will have to do? He will have to sacrifice few more slices of pizza. Let's assume he is sacrificing 2 more slices in order to increase the consumption of burger by 1 unit. What is happening here? Basically, this table indicate the different combination of two goods, right? Different combination of two goods that a consumer basically consuming. Mr. X is consuming. And the thing is that in each of the combination, he is having same amount of satisfaction. He is getting same amount of satisfaction, right? So every combination is giving him equal amount of satisfaction. All right. So let's, yeah.
Sir, so if combination A has 100 utils, then combination E will also have, from combination A to till E, it will have 100 utils.
Correct. It will have the same amount of satisfaction.
Okay.
So basically what is happening here, initially he have started with this combination 1 and 15. Now he wants to, when he wanted to increase the quantity of burger without sacrificing, without basically compromising at the satisfaction, what is happening here? He increases the he increases the quantity of burger. On the other hand, he sacrifices certain slices of pizza as well, so as to maintain the equal amount of satisfaction, right? So in every combination, either he consume combination A, B, C, D, E, or any combination, he will have the equal amount of satisfaction in each of the combinations. So basically, because he is having same amount of satisfaction in every combination, so we will say that customer is basically indifferent toward every combination, any combination. He is indifferent toward any combination. What if I ask consumer X to prefer, to give the preference to any combination? So can you tell me, which combination will Mr. X prefer out of all these combination? Which combination he will prefer? Combination A, B, C, D, or E? Which combination he will prefer?
C.
C combination.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Samiksha, Mazin, what do you think? Which combination will customer prefer out of these different combinations? Mazin, Samiksha, tell me.
Yes, sir.
Out of all of these combination, which combination will Mr. X prefer? Which is more basically, which according to him, which is to which combination he will give more significance, more importance? According to him, which is a better combination? Combination A, B, C, D, or E? Which he will prefer more?
D.
D. Why D?
Because like it's equal.
All right. And Samiksha, what about you?
Sir, I'm not sure this topic.
See, out of all of these options, he will not prefer any of the combination. He will not give any preference to any combination, because in each of the combination he is having, because he is having equal amount of satisfaction, right? What is the amount of satisfaction he is going to get? He will be going to receive 100 utils of satisfaction. So is there any need to give any special preference to any combination? Is there any need to give any special preference to any combination? Answer is no.
No.
If I'll ask Mr. X which combination he prefer out of all of these combination, he will say I am indifferent. It doesn't matter with whether you give me the combination, whether you give me the good in combination A, B, C, D, or in any combination, because he is going to have equal amount of satisfaction in every combination. He will say that I am indifferent. There is no special preference to any combination that he is required to give. You getting my point? Basically, what is this table indicating? This table indicate different combination of two goods that Mr. X can consume that will provide him same amount of satisfaction. All right. Now, based on this table, we can draw a diagram. based on this table, we can draw a diagram. We can present it on diagram, something like this. This is our which axis? This is x axis. Then we have y axis. Here we have, let's say, which good was increasing? We were increasing burger, right? So burger will be shown on the x axis and pizza on the y axis. All right. Now, first combination was how much? First combination was initially consumer was consuming the goods in 1 and 15 combination. So 1 unit of burger and 15 unit of pizza. So basically, let's say, suppose here is 15 unit of pizza and 1 unit of burger. So this will be combination A, 1 and 15. All right. Now, what is the second combination? Second combination is 2 and 10. So when you present all of these combination on this table and connect all of these combination through a line, it will make a line, it will make something, it will make a curve, something like this. So this curve is basically called indifference curve. We will basically represent all of the combination on this diagram, and we will connect every combination through a straight line and through a line. This will make the basically convex shape curve. So this combination will be 2 and 10. Then we have combination C. Let's see, combination C is 3 and 6. Then we have combination D, 4 and 3. 4 and 3. Then we have 5 and 1. So this is combination E, 5 and 1. So what we have done, basically, we have presented different combination on diagram. Suppose this is 15 and this is 1. Then we have 10 and 2. Then we have 6 and 3. We have presented all the combination like this, and by presenting all of the combination on the diagram, we have basically interconnected all the combination through a line which form basically convex shape curve, which is called, this shape is called indifference curve. This is called indifference curve. So if I ask you what is indifference curve, what you can say, indifference curve, so indifference curve is basically a graph, right? It is a graph. What does this graph show? This graph shows different combinations. Combination of what? Different combination of two goods, right? Which a consumer can consume, and every combination will provide him equal amount of satisfaction. Equal amount of satisfaction. All right. So indifference curve is a graphical representation. Indifference curve is a graphical representation of two goods showing different combination of two goods that will provide the consumer equal amount of satisfaction in every combination. Is it clear, everyone? Indifference curve is a graphical representation that shows different combination of two goods that will provide customer the same amount of satisfaction in every combination. Is it clear?
Yes.
You guys,
sir.
okay. Let's understand this concept through one more illustration. This time we will not be making any table or diagram. Just wanted to explain the various combination that will provide customer equal amount of satisfaction. Let's talk about, for example, let's talk about margin. Suppose I have taken 500 rupees from margin. All right. I have taken 500 rupee from margin, and I am giving him, I'm returning him 500 rupee in the in 10 rupee, in the form of 10 rupee note. So can you tell me, Mazen, how many 10 rupee notes you will require so as to equalize the amount that I have borrowed from you and the amount I am giving you? So how many 10 rupee note you will require?
To make it 500?
Correct. To make it 500, how many notes you will require? I have taken 500, 1 rupee, one note of 500. I'm giving you I'm returning you 500 in the form of 10 rupee note. So how many 10 rupee note you will require to equalize the amount I have borrowed from you? I think 50 notes of 10 rupee will be equal to how many? 500 rupee.
500.
Correct. So this is option number 1. I'm asking you to take this amount, 10 rupee note, 50 notes of 10 rupee. Option number 1.
Yes. Yes.
I'm asking you to take the, let's say 20 rupee note, sorry, 20 rupee, 25 notes of 20 rupees. This is combination B. This will also give you same amount of satisfaction, right?
Yes.
Same amount of satisfaction. That is, this will also give you 500 rupees. All right. Next, there is an option that you can also take 5 notes of 100 rupees. All
Yes.
right. This will also equals to 500. There is one more option. I'm asking you to take 50 rupee note, 10 50 rupee note. This will also equals to 500. So these are the various combination in which I am returning you the 500 rupee that I have taken from you. There's one
Yes.
more option. I want you to take 5 rupee note, and basically I am offering that I will give you 105 rupee note. This will also give you 500 rupee. So
500.
can you tell me, Mazen, which combination is giving more satisfaction to you? Which combination of note will give you more amount of satisfaction? Your answer should be any of the combination will give me
Yes.
the same amount of satisfaction, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
do you are you going to give any special preference to any combination?
No.
No. Based on the amount that you are going to receive in any of the combination is equal, because
Yes.
amount that you are going to receive is equal in any combination. Hence, every combination is giving you same level of satisfaction, right? Same
Yes.
level of satisfaction. So in this case, if I ask you to choose any of the combination, so you will say, sir, I am basically indifferent. It doesn't matter whether you give me, you return my money in combination A, B, C, D or E. Either you give me
Yes.
50 notes of 10 rupee, 25 notes of 20 rupee, 5 notes of 100 rupee, 10 notes of 50 rupee or 100 note of rupees 5. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to receive same level of satisfaction in every combination. All right.
Yes.
All right. Based on these combination, if I made a diagram, suppose I have made a diagram something like this. All right.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, but some people will have some particular thing like they will like that more. They'll have more preference for that. So how about that, sir?
Peer, right? See,
Yes,
Peer,
yes.
we are basically talking in terms of the amount he is going to receive. All right.
Yes, sir.
We will not basically discussing here about the problem of changes, right? Suppose
Yes,
if a person is receiving the amount in terms of coins, so definitely he's going to have problem of carrying so much coins at a particular point of time.
yes, sir.
But we are not basically discussing about the problem he's going to have if he receives the amount in terms of coins or smaller currency denomination. We are basically talking that in any of the combination, how much monetary value he's going to receive in any combination, he will have the same monetary value in every combination. That is 500. That basically means if he's getting same amount of monetary value in every combination, it simply means he is going to receive equal amount of satisfaction in every combination, either A, B, C, D or E. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So we are basically discussing about the satisfaction that he is going to receive in every combination will remain same. All right. So if what if I present all of these combination on diagram? This is combination A, combination B, combination C. I have presented all these combination on a diagram, and because on this diagram every combination is providing me same satisfaction, same level of satisfaction. What do we call this diagram? This line is basically called indifference curve.
Indifference curve.
This is called indifference curve. Similarly, in the previous example that I have taken, I have assumed that consumer is basically consuming two goods, burger and pizza. Initially he was consuming in this combination 1 and 15. Now what is happening here? Consumer is increasing the quantity of burger, but he is not basically willing to sacrifice on the amount of satisfaction he's receiving in combination A. So what happened here? He increases the quantity of burger. At the same time, he reduces certain slices of pizza. Correct? Why he's sacrificing certain slices of pizza? Can you tell me? Why he's sacrificing certain slices of pizza? Because
To equalize the satisfaction.
correct, to equalize the satisfaction, to ensure that satisfaction remains same in combination B as well as he was getting in the combination A. Similarly, when he wants to increase the burger by one more unit, he again sacrifices certain number of pizza. Because he is increasing one commodity, he will have to sacrifice units of the other commodity so as to equalize the satisfaction. If he do not do so, if he do not decreases the quantity of pizza, what will happen? The amount of satisfaction will obviously increases, because burger increases, pizza remains same. So the quantity, so the overall satisfaction of the consumer will increase. But here, in this case, consumer wants to maintain the same satisfaction level. All right. So this table is called indifference schedule. This is called indifference schedule. And the diagram based on this schedule is called indifference curve. All right, everyone. Is it clear, Samiksha, Steve, Peer, and Mazin?
Yes,
Any
sir.
doubt?
Sir, clear.
All right, very good. So let's understand this through the PowerPoint. See what I have defined here. Indifference curve is basically a graphical representation of various combination of two goods, right? Two goods, which provides the consumer with the same level of satisfaction, that is utility. One thing to note here is that we do not measure the utility in indifference curve in terms of units, in terms of numbers basically. While discussing the consumer's equilibrium through indifference curve approach, we never value the satisfaction in terms of number. But in the example, I have, just to make you understand, I have basically measured the utility in terms of number, that is 100. I've assumed that suppose in the combination A, he is having certain satisfaction level. Suppose he is having 100 utils of satisfaction. So this is what I have used in the example, just to make you understand. But just remember, while discussing the indifference curve approach, we never measure the satisfaction of commodity in terms of numbers. All right. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's
Just,
understand this through example. In this example, I have taken the basically 5 combination. Similar example, this is, suppose customer is basically consuming chocolates and burger. Initially, he was consuming 1 unit of burger and 15 units of burger and 1 unit of chocolates, right? Now, this combination is providing him 20 utils of satisfaction. This is basically just to make you understand. Otherwise, this column is basically not drawn when we discuss the indifference curve approach. So in the combination A, he's receiving 20 utils of satisfaction. Now what happens? He wants to increase the consumption of chocolate by 1 unit. So he will sacrifice certain number of burgers just to ensure that he will have the same amount of satisfaction. So see how many units he is sacrificing here. He is sacrificing 5 units of burger just to increase 1 unit of chocolate. Listen to me carefully. The amount of one commodity, the quantity of one commodity that a consumer is sacrificing, quantity of one commodity that a customer is sacrificing in order to increase the consumption of other commodity by 1 unit. This is called marginal rate of substitution. So in combination B, customer is basically substituting burgers by chocolate, and how many units he is sacrificing in order to how many units of burger he is sacrificing to increase the consumption of chocolate by 1 unit. He is sacrificing 5 units of burger just to increase the quantity of chocolate by 1 unit. So in this case, in combination B, marginal rate of substitution will be 5:1. Is it clear? Marginal rate of substitution is basically quantity of one commodity that need to be sacrificed in order to increase the consumption of the other commodity by 1 unit. All right. So in combination B, sacrifice is 5 unit of burger and gain is 1 unit of chocolate. In the combination C, what happens? A customer again increases the consumption of chocolate by 1 unit, and this time burger is sacrificed by only 4 units. So this time marginal rate of substitution will be 4:1. One thing you will note here is that every time quantity of chocolate is increased, burger will be reduced. This is because customer has to maintain same amount of satisfaction. But the thing which is noticeable here is that customer is sacrificing less number of units every time. Initially, customer have agreed to sacrifice 5, then 4, then 2, and after that 1 only. Is it clear? So basically marginal rate of substitution always decreases. So you
Sir?
have to remember this for the time being. I'll explain why marginal rate of substitution decreases. Yes, Mazen.
Sir, like in the last combination, that is 5-1. So if he will like sacrifice 1, so he'll have 0 burger, right?
Sorry. If he
The
increases
last
shock, that
no
okay,
last
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
For increasing chocolate, so he will sacrifice 1, so he'll have 0 burger, right?
Okay, Mazen, let's also clear one thing. You cannot draw any combination containing 0 unit of any commodity. You must make combination that contains at least 1 unit of every commodity. At
Okay.
least there must be at least 1 unit of each commodity. Either
Okay.
so the minimum quantity of both the goods can be only 1. It cannot be 0. So we have started the combination from 1 and 15. We have ended the combination at 5 and 1. There cannot be any combination wherein burger is reduced to 0 or chocolate is reduced to 0. All right, Mazen.
Yes, sir.
You will have to ensure that whenever we make the combination, there must be at least 1 unit of both the commodities, at least.
Okay,
Moving
sir.
on, based on this table, we can make this diagram just the way I have drawn on the notebook. So for this, we will draw the x-axis and y-axis. We will take the commodity which is increasing on the x-axis and the commodity which is declining, the commodity for which we are sacrificing, quantity of which we are sacrificing will be shown on the y-axis, right? Now we will basically plot different combinations like this. First combination is 15 and 1, then we will draw combination second that is 11 and 2. Then we have drawn the third combination 7 and 3, just like this. So after plotting, after presenting all the combination, we will basically connect every combination through a line, and it will make a line something like this. This line is basically called indifference curve. All right. See, indifference curve is always convex to the origin. It will always be convex in the shape. It will not be a straight line. All right. So this is called indifference curve. Is it clear, everybody? Samiksha, Steve, Peer, and Mazen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
there are certain assumptions to the indifference curve. There are certain assumptions. Whenever we draw the indifference curve, there are certain assumptions that we follow. First of all, you'll have to write these assumptions. You will have to write these assumptions. I'm writing it on the notebook. Just copy it. Assumptions of indifference curve. Assumptions are easy. First of all, we assume that consumer can consume only 2 goods. Consumer can consume only 2 goods. So there is an assumption that consumer can consume only 2 goods. Why it is assumed so? Because we have only 2 axes to present every combination, right? We have only x and y axis. Therefore, if we take 3 commodities, it will be basically impossible for us to present present 3 commodities on the diagram and make a curve based on the 3 commodities. So we have assumed that consumer can consume only 2 goods because there are only how many axes? 2 axes on the graph. All right. So this is our first assumption. Second thing that we are assuming is that consumer is basically rational. consumer is assumed to be rational. What is the meaning of rational? Can you tell me what is the meaning of rational? Consumer is assumed to be rational. Who is a rational consumer? Rational is a person basically who is able to basically differentiate between what is good or what is bad for him. The person who can basically differentiate between what is good and what is bad for him is considered as a rational person, right? So like we have taken the example of Mazen, where I have taken 500 rupee note from Mazen, and let's say suppose I am returning Mazen only 10 rupee note after taking the 500 rupee note. So what I'm saying to Mazen basically say, let's say suppose I'm saying Mazen that Mazen, I have taken 500 rupee note from you. I have taken one note and I will return rupees 10. I'm returning you rupees 10, saying that I have taken one note, I am returning one note. Tell me whether Mazen will accept this, yes or no. Tell me, Mazen, will you going to accept this if I take 500 rupee one note from you, and in return of that I'll give you one note of 10 rupee, whether you accept that this or not?
Yes.
You will accept this.
Yes.
Why will you accept this?
You will take 1 rupee from 500.
No,
Right?
I am saying one note I'll take from you of 500 rupee. I'll take 500 from you, one note, I'll return one note of rupees 10 only.
No,
This is
then
it. Do you object to this or not?
I will not take.
You will not take. Why will you not take this?
Because
Because
like,
you are rational. You can differentiate. You can basically calculate that one note of 10 rupees is not equal to 500, right? So while
yes,
discussing the concept of indifference curve, we always assume that we are basically discussing about the rational person who can decide what is good and what is bad for him, and the person who is rational can only decide how many units of one good needs to be increased if I am sacrificing certain number of units of the other commodity, right? Like the example we were basically discussing right now. In this example, customer is basically consuming burger and pizza, right? So when we ask the consumer to sacrifice few pizzas, what he just did, he basically increases the quantity of burger. Why did he why do you think he reacted like this? Why did he feel that that he should increase the quantity of burger just to ensure that he gets the equal amount of satisfaction? Tell me, which kind of consumer can do so? Rational person or an irrational person? Which kind of customer can do so, rational or irrational? Who can decide that how many units of one commodity should be increased and how many units of the other commodity should be sacrificed so as to maintain the same satisfaction level? Tell me, which kind of customer can do so? Only a rational customer. Therefore, we assume that while discussing the concept of indifference curve, consumer is assumed to be rational. All right, everybody. Now there is one more assumption. This is called utility of commodity is ordinal. That is, it can only be ranked as per the preference of consumer. We assume that the amount of satisfaction which a customer derives from the commodity is ordinal and not cardinal. Just like we have assumed in the utility approach. Do you remember that in case of utility approach, we have assumed that utility of commodity is cardinal, right? Cardinal basically means we can express the satisfaction of a commodity in terms of number, right? But indifference curve approach basically says that utility of commodity is not cardinal. It cannot be represented in terms of number. It is something which is very impractical. In real life, we do not basically measure the utility of a commodity in terms of number. What do we do basically? In real life, we basically rank the utility depending upon our preferences. Let's suppose that I'm basically giving you three kind of fruit. Suppose I am offering you orange, then apple and mango. If you consume all of these goods and I ask you what is the amount of satisfaction you have got from all of these fruits, then you will probably say that you like the oranges the most. So you are giving the first rank to the orange. You like the orange the most. Then you are giving the second preference to the mango, and after that you like the apple the least. So you are basically giving it the third rank. So in real life, we actually give rank the satisfaction. If we are consuming two goods, we will say the first good is better than the second good, or the second good is better than the first good. In real life, we basically compare the goods and rank the goods depending upon our preferences or the commodity, basically how much we have liked the commodity. So indifference curve, there are three assumptions till now that I have told you. First of all, consumer will consume only two goods. Consumer is assumed to be rational. Amount of satisfaction that a customer derive is not cardinal, rather it is ordinal. We can only rank the satisfaction depending upon the preference of the customer. All right. Now, there is one more assumption, that consumers' behavior is monotonic. Consumers' behavior is what is monotonic? What is monotonic behavior? Monotonic behavior basically means that consumer always prefer more is better. Consumer believe that more is better. Monotonic preference means that he will always prefer more of quantity over the less number of quantity. Suppose, let's say I am offering a customer two bundle of goods. Suppose this is combination A, this is combination B. Combination A contains two goods, burger and chocolates. All right, burger and chocolates. And similarly, combination B also contains burgers and chocolates. Burger and chocolates, same commodity. But in combination A, burger, there are 5 burgers and 10 chocolates. In combination B, there are 7 burgers and 15 chocolates. So tell me, which combination will customer prefer? Because we assume that consumer has monotonic preference because he believes that more is better. So tell me which combination he is going to prefer, A or B, which is better for him, which will provide him more amount of satisfaction? Tell me. B. Why B? Because combination B contains larger bundle of goods. Combination B contains more quantity of both the goods. And because we believe that, we assume that consumer is monotonic in nature, there is monotonic preference of the customer. So he is going to receive more satisfaction in combination B. All right. So these are the 4 assumptions of the indifference curve. Is it clear, everybody? So there are 4 assumptions of indifference curve. Do you guys have any doubt? Samiksha, Peer, anyone?
No,
So
sir.
till now we have discussed two points. What is indifference curve? And after that, I have told you about the indifference schedule. Based on the schedule, we have learned how can we draw the indifference curve, right? After that, we were discussing about assumptions of indifference curve, where 4 assumptions I have basically discussed with you. Number 1, Customer can consume how many goods? Only 2 goods. Consumer is assumed to be rational or irrational? Sir, rational. Then C, in indifference curve approach, we always believe that customers' satisfaction cannot be measured in terms of numbers, rather only preferences can be given and it can be ranked. Satisfaction of commodity can be ranked depending upon the preference of the customer. And the last one was consumer always prefer more quantity of good, more larger bundle of good over the smaller bundle of good. That is called consumers always have the monotonic preference. All right, so you have to remember all of these assumptions. Now there is one more topic that we are needed to cover in this lecture, that is characteristics of indifference curve. Characteristics of indifference curve. These are also easy. So there are 5 characteristics of indifference curve. First of all, first is that indifference curve is downward sloping. Indifference curve is downward sloping. You guys are writing, no? Along with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so keep writing. Indifference curve is downward sloping, first of all. So why indifference curve is downward sloping? Can any one of you tell me why indifference curve is downward sloping? Samiksha, why indifference curve is downward sloping? See, when we draw the indifference curve starts from point A and moves to point E, right? So it starts from here, ends here. It is basically moving left to right, downward. It is moving downward from left to right. Why it is moving downward from left to right? Because when we increase the quantity of burger, every time we want to increase the quantity of burger by 1 unit, we are needed to sacrifice few units of the
It
pizza.
becomes less.
Correct. So because we gain 1 unit of the commodity only by sacrificing some units of the other commodity, as a consequence of which indifference curve become a downward sloping curve. It is a downward sloping curve because as we increase the quantity of one commodity, we need to sacrifice few units of the other commodity. Why there is a requirement to do so? Because we want to maintain the equal amount of satisfaction in every combination. Hence we increase one, we reduce the other. We increase 1 unit of the one commodity and we reduce few units of the other commodity, right? Therefore the indifference curve becomes a downward sloping curve. After that, you can also observe that indifference curve is convex to the origin, right? Convex to the origin basically means it is convex in shape. It is convex in shape. So do you have any idea why it is convex in shape? Do you know what is convex? See, primarily there are 3 shapes in the microeconomics. First is linear, then we have concave shaped curve like this, and third is basically convex like this. So our basically indifference curve is convex to the origin, right? Why it is convex to the origin? Why it is convex to the origin? Because this is very important.
Because it's from left to right.
No, this is convex to the origin. See, all of these curves are left to right, no? This is starting from here, going here. So this is also moving from left to right. This is also moving left to right. And this is also going left to right. So just because it is going left to right, it does not mean that it will form a convex shape curve. It is a convex shape curve because of marginal rate of substitution. Remember and listen to me carefully. Indifference curve is convex because of reducing marginal rate of substitution. As in the, let's look at the table once more. See, in this table, see in this table, in the combination, in the combination B, for combination B, how many units of burger is being sacrificed by the consumer for 1 unit of chocolate? Tell me. How many units of burger is being sacrificed for 1 unit of chocolate? 5.
First one.
5 units of burger is sacrificed for 1 unit of chocolate, right? So
Yeah.
in this case, marginal rate of substitution 5:1. But what happens in the C combination C? This time customer sacrifice only 4 units of burger. See, 10:6. 4 units of burger is reduced for 1 unit of chocolate, 2:3. So for 1 unit of chocolate, customer have sacrificed 4 unit of burgers, right? So this time sacrifice of burger is less than the previous one. Initially he sacrificed 5, then he sacrificed 4. And what happened the next time? He sacrificed only 2. Correct? And after that he sacrificed only 1. So every time he is increasing the number of chocolate by 1 unit, he is sacrificing less and less units of burger for increasing 1 unit of chocolate. This is called our marginal rate of substitution is continuously decreasing. And because our marginal rate of substitution is decreasing, it will make the convex shape indifference curve. Is it clear, everybody? Indifference curve is why indifference curve is convex? Because of decreasing marginal rate of substitution. Okay, tell me what would have happened if marginal rate of substitution was constant? If it remained constant, let's suppose if marginal rate of substitution remained 5:1, 5:1, 5:1, 5:1 every time,
Linear graph.
it would have correct. It will make a linear graph. And what if marginal rate of substitution start increasing? 1:1, 2:1, 3:1, and like this, it will make a concave shape curve. All right. So always remember, indifference curve is first of all downward sloping. Indifference curve is convex to the origin. One more characteristic is indifference curve. Let me write IC only. Indifference curve never touch X and Y axis. It neither touch X axis nor Y axis. Whenever we make the indifference curve, it will always lie between X and Y axis. See, this is our indifference curve, right? So this will never touch the X axis, sorry, Y axis, and neither it will touch the X axis. It will never touch X and Y axis. Why? Because none of the combination contains zero quantity of any commodity. See, in the E combination, we have 5 units of one commodity and 1 unit of the other commodity. In the A combination as well, we have 1 unit of one commodity and 15 unit of the other commodity, right? So see, any combination, there is no combination that contains zero quantity of any commodity, neither burger nor pizza. Every combination contains at least 1 unit of each of the commodity. Therefore, because every combination contains 1 unit of both the commodities, therefore, when we make an indifference curve, it will be an indifference convex shape curve lying between the X and Y axis. It will never touch X nor it will touch the Y axis. Is it clear, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let's cover the other characteristic in the next session. There are 2 more characteristics. It will take around 10 more minutes. So let's skip that for now. We will be continuing from this topic in the next class. All right. So in this session, we were basically discussing the concept of consumers equilibrium through indifference curve approach. And in today's session, I have told you that in order to understand the concept of consumer equilibrium, we need to understand 5 concepts in this case as well. And first is indifference curve. Indifference curve. In indifference curve, we have learned the meaning of indifference curve. We have learned how to make the schedule of indifference curve. Then we have learned how to make the graph of indifference curve. We have learned assumptions of indifference curve. And we were now discussing the characteristics of indifference curve. So these were the topics we have covered. Assumptions, I have told you 4 assumptions. In characteristic, till now, we have covered 4 characteristics. All right. Assumptions were 2 commodities. Consumer can consume only 2 goods. Then consumer is assumed to be rational. Utility of commodity is not cardinal, rather it will be ordinal, and consumer's preference is always monotonic. That is, he will always prefer more units of the commodity as compared to the less unit of the commodity. And in characteristic, we have covered that indifference curve is downward sloping, it is convex to the origin, and Indifference curve never touch x and y axis. So all of these topics that we have covered in this session. So this is it for today in economics part. We will take 5-minute break, and after that we will start the accountancy. All right. Do you want to ask anything? Anyone? Do you have any doubt? Samiksha, Bir, Mazen, Steve. Do you guys have any doubt understanding the concept of indifference
sir.
curve? Okay. Let's take a break of 5 minutes. Then we will start with our accountancy. All right. Just wait for 5 minutes.